Okay, it says showtime on my screen. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It is Wednesday, and that means it is Wine Wednesday here in the organizing lounge. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm going to do my little check-in, the group here, to make sure that you can see me and I can see you, or your comments rather. And there I am. Okay, perfect. And I see somebody's there. Looks good. I'm going to pin it to the top so people can find us. Okay, how are you this evening or whatever time of day it is? If you are here watching live, welcome. If you are watching the replay, please tell me that you're watching the replay and, ask away if you have questions, comment. I love interacting with all of you in the comments. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Melynda Wieland. My company is called Order to Everything. I'm a professional organizer and I live in Austin, Texas. That doesn't mean that I just do organizing in Austin, Texas. That means that's where I live. I do virtual organizing. I am in the online space. I help people all over the world in my online program, the Organizing Lab, and also with private coaching anywhere virtually. So that's what I do. And you are watching Wine Wednesday here in the Organizing Lounge. I created Wine Wednesday because, it's two of my favorite things. It's having a sip of wine and it's talking about organizing. And then the third thing is helping all of you, right? And, providing some tips and strategies and all that kind of stuff. So it's having a sip and it's learning a little bit at the same time. So let's get into it. Tonight is a topic that can seem like that's the topic. That's it. What are you going to talk about with that? Because the topic is labels, how and why to use them. And, is it like labels? You're going to talk about labels? Well, I have a story for you. Okay. So to label or not to label is always the question, to contain, to not contain, to fold or not fold. There's lots of, reasons why you could or couldn't or should or shouldn't do any of those things, right? And like all of the lab members know, I like to say it depends, right? But tonight I'm going to challenge you to, whether you are an all-out labeler and everything has to be labeled and you love all the pretty labels, or you just think that you can't do labels because it takes too much time, or you think they're a waste of time. I challenge both of those because there is I don't know what word to say. I'm losing my words. There is a very important reason why labels can help you in your organizing journey. Okay. So here's a little story. So in our old house that we used to live in, we had, I'm so sorry. My train of thought, and obviously my words are just like leaving me, but that's okay. I'm going to look at the comments to get back on track and see who's here. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Gina. See, now I can see who's here and I'm all good. And Melissa's giving me rainbows. So now I can be back on track, right? Okay, here's the story. So in my old house, I organized all of my bathroom stuff and I organized my closet. And our closet ended up having a lot of our backstock items from our bathrooms. It had all of the shampoo bottles and all of the, shaving stuff and the lotions and anything that was backstock that we didn't use all of the time. And I got some great bins from IKEA and, everything is divided up nicely. And I got it the way that I wanted it. I didn't do the labels, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but I didn't do the labels. And so I knew where everything was, but my husband didn't. So he kept saying, where's this? Where's this? Where's this? And I would show him, oh, it's up in this bin. And then, I'd show him and put it back, but then he wouldn't know where it was again, because he wouldn't pay attention. And he kept saying, where it is, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And he's like, why don't you just label things already? So those of you that don't know, I am a recovering perfectionist and procrastinator. And when we are perfectionists, we tend to prevent ourselves from doing things for many different reasons. And for this particular reason, I was procrastinating because I wanted the labels to be perfect. I wanted to have a label that looked great, and I wanted to take the time to do it. And I wanted to have that not only for myself, but so that I could take a picture of it. Right. I wanted to have that because I'm an organizer. I'm supposed to be organized. Right. But I didn't do it. I didn't do it because I wanted it to be perfect. And so then we moved into our new house, and those same bins went into our new linen closet, and still not labeled. And it almost became a joke between my husband and I. He's like, "You're an organizer. Why don't you just label the damn things? I can't find where the stuff is." Right. And he's very particular. He's actually more particular than I am, but he's very functional too. He just wants to know where the thing is. He wants to know where to put it. And that's that. And so the reason why the perfectionism was there, like I mentioned, but I wanted to do it right. And these labels are on a bin from IKEA, and they're oval. And I didn't want to just stick the label maker label on there because you have this rectangle and you're sticking it on there and it doesn't look good. And you want it to either be, vinyl, or you want to print something out. And I say you when I'm talking about me. And so it just didn't get done. And it's ridiculous because literally more than a year went by with these bins without being labeled for many reasons that, are there that are just keeping me from doing it for, I don't want to say no reason, but reasons that can be overcome. And there were so many conversations of, why don't you just do it? Why don't you just do it? And then me feeling like, I don't know, why don't I just do it? Why can't I do it? Right. And so hopefully this story can resonate with you in many different ways, because it brings up the perfectionism. It brings up the procrastination. It brings up the shoulding that I talk about, right? We're not supposed to should ourselves, but I do that. And it's something that I'm, overcoming, that I'm learning, and that I want to help you with as well. So anyway, I ended up labeling the dang bins, and they're labeled now, and everybody's happy. And now when my husband says, "Where's the toothpaste?" I just tell him it's in the whatever the label says, tooth care or dental care box or whatever. And he goes to get it. And then he goes to put it away. And it's more relaxing. It is less pressure. And it's because I just did the thing. Well, why did I do the thing now and not before? There's a few, the pressure came, right? It was all the pressure, and I need to. But then I also made it fun. I got a label maker for Christmas. That was what my gift was last year. I posted it in the group. It's one of those cubes. It's amazing. You can use it with your phone. You can use it with your computer. You can do all the things. So it's a fun toy, right? So that kind of, gave me a reason to play with that a little bit. Now, you don't need to go and spend $100 on a label maker, or $70 or $60 or even $25. But, this leads into motivation to do something. Finding a way to make it fun, or finding a way to give you a reason to get over that little hump, can help you. Okay. So the reason why are you telling me all of this stuff, right? So the story is twofold. Okay. It's like I mentioned, it goes to the perfection and the procrastination, right? And the point of that is, whatever you are doing, it does not have to be perfect, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. And we all have that, not we all, I don't want to project on you. Many people feel like it has to be perfect in order for it to be done. And a lot of people that are in this group are that way. And that's one of the contributing factors to your clutter and not being able to get it done, right? So the twofold, it doesn't have to look perfect, and have the awareness of whether it's not being done because that might be a reason. Okay. So I want to bring that up. Who knew that, talking about labels would bring all of that up, right? And then number two, it's more than just the pretty factor, right? Because we all see the home edit and doing their acrylic bins with the labels, and, even pictures that I post that, have labels on them, and, the spices that are perfectly in the drawer and they have all the matching labels. It can be pretty, but it's not just about the pretty factor. It's about the function. And that's the other part of the story, right? It's my husband wanting to just know where to find something and where to put it. And that's just one example. Using labels can really, really, it can dramatically change how family members interact with each other. The whole dynamic of somebody not being able to find something and somebody getting irritated because they're not putting it back where it belongs, that can disappear just by a label and a little bit of a communication beforehand, but not as much communication has to happen if the label is there. So if you have a pantry and you have a bin that says chips, they may not get put back in there the way you want, but the chips are more likely to go in that bin than in the bread bin if it's labeled chips, right? So there's that function part. And so just like with containers, there's the to contain or not contain. You don't always have to contain. It's not always the thing. But more often than not, if you can contain things in some form or another, whether it be a divider or a container or a cardboard box or, a visual division of some sort, it can help you. And labels can do the same thing. So whenever you think that a system isn't working, think about labels. Is it labeled? Do your kids know that that's where the scissors go? Do your kids know that that's where all of the art supplies go? Do they know that that's where the masks go? And I mean, we can get into the weeds about everything that needs to be labeled. I have been made fun of because my egg containers in the refrigerator are labeled, but you have to know what's boiled and not boiled, right? But you can really get into the weeds, but just the function of labels can be so important, and it can dramatically change things. It can change how you're functioning in your home, and it can change how you feel. Because in my example, I felt like I should be doing it. I'm an organizer. Why aren't I labeling the bins? I should have the bins labeled. They should have been labeled in my old house, right? So that stuff was happening inside, but it didn't need to be there. And then I was also feeling bad because he couldn't find the stuff. I can't find the stuff. I can't find the stuff. Why don't you just, and the function of the label, him knowing, would completely take that situation away. So I felt like this was, a very small itty bitty topic that nobody talks about in terms of relating labels and all of this inside stuff. And so I thought it was a really good thing to bring up and talk about. Plus, labels are fun, and they can be pretty, and they can spruce up a space, and they can be the cherry on top, right? So the whole thing tonight is labels, how and why to use them. So, the why is what I just went through, right? It's to prevent stress. It's to prevent communication issues. It's to prevent systems from failing. Because when, if your system isn't failing, there's a lot of things that you have to look at. Is it the tendencies that's going on? Is it because you did it for somebody else and it's not working for them because that's not how they do it? Is it, does it need to be tweaked for some other reason? But then also looking at, does it have a label on it? Because that can be a simple fix, or one of the things that you can try if that isn't there, right? It could just be like, oh, it's not labeled. Maybe I try that and maybe this issue goes away, right? So function first. It's all about the function. And then you can think about it being pretty and stuff, okay? So let's get into a little bit of the how. And so when I talk about function first, that leads me to, it does not have to be the pretty label. You don't have to go buy a label maker to label something. You can use other things. There's lots of different ways to label things. So what can you use? You can use painter's tape. I use painter's tape all the time. I keep it in my organizing bag for when I go into my clients' homes. You can use those for, I especially use painter's tape when I'm doing sorting and things like that, because it can be used for temporary use, but it can also be used for all kinds of things, for things that you use in the garage, for your holiday decorations, for anything that you just want to slap a label on. You can use painter's tape. It comes in a thin strip. It comes in a thicker strip. It's super easy and just write on it with a marker. So if you're one of those people where it's like, you don't care about those pretty labels, you don't care that it's like that, you just want it to function, you can do that. You can, if you have a white acrylic bin, for example, and you can do it on clear acrylic too, but you don't really see it because you can see the stuff in the bin, but you can write on plastic bins with marker and then just, clean it off after if you need to change it. So you can just use a Sharpie directly on a container, and there's ways of removing that. You can print things out, and it doesn't have to be, perfectly cut out, even though people like me didn't do it because I wanted something that was, I didn't want to mess up the oval. And by the way, when I ended up labeling the things, I did use a label maker. I used the cube, and I think I used clear tape on it so you can't see it. But it didn't even matter that it was oval when I did it, right? I had this like block in my head, and it didn't even need to be there. Okay, so you can print things out on a printer. You can just go into Microsoft Word or Google Doc, type up some words, and then just cut them out. You can cut them out in shapes. You can use a trimmer, whatever you want. You can make things into shapes. You can use programs like Canva or Photoshop, and you can make pretty labels. There are tons of different templates online. You go online, you can find all kinds of templates of labels that you can just print and cut, right? So you can print things out in all different ways. You can use a cutting machine like a Cricut or a Silhouette. I have a Silhouette, and I don't use it that much because I haven't put furniture in my office where I have a space. I don't have a surface to use it, and I really would love to. And I have a girlfriend that has one, and she like labeled everything in her house because she figured out how to do the vinyl transfer and everything, and that's just something that she loves to do. So she turned it into something fun. And so if you're crafty and like to do things like that, then you could use a Cricut or a Silhouette. It makes it super, super fun. And, then you could go just to a label maker. And like I said, you don't have to get a P-Touch cube. You can get any kind of label maker. You can get the, are they called Dynamo or Dynamo? Dynamo. I can't remember the name of it, but they're just handheld. They're very inexpensive. You type in the stuff, you print out, you slap it on really quick. And if you have a label maker and you just keep it around, then you can just go grab it and you can stick a label on anything. So it's all about your level of perfectionism and how you want it to look. But there are always ways of doing that. And then when you get into that perfectionist like handbrake thing where you're not doing it because you want it to be perfect, remember my story and remember that it doesn't have to be perfect. And having a label on it is going to be way better than having all of the feelings, all of the guilt, all of the shame, all of the the back and forth with your family members. It's going to get rid of it if you just do it, right? So use my experience as an example to just refer back to, so you can snap out of that. Okay. There's all different types of labels. You can use stickers. You could go to Hobby Lobby or a craft store and just buy some stickers and then write on the stickers and use them. You can buy labels on Amazon. You can buy them at the Container Store that already have the things written on them. So you can just buy a packet of labels and slap them on things. So there's so many different ways. How many different ways did I give you? I'm referring back to my notes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 6 different ways of, just off the top of my head of things that you can label. Okay. And then in terms of what to label, for example, like what words to use, that's all about you and your system and what's going on. And, sometimes using labels off of Amazon doesn't work because half of them end up getting wasted because none of that stuff is stuff that you use. So when you're selecting the way that you're going to label, think about, the words that you're going to use and base those words on whatever your needs are and whatever categories you're making when you're going through the whole process of organizing, right? Because we all know, if you are here and if you are new and you don't, I have a process, Simplify, Organize, Transform, that I use for organizing. And, that's part of the process is, figuring that your categories out and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So that's what I had for you this evening. I wanted to take that little tiny word label and the little tiny topic that doesn't really seem like it matters and really give it some substance and, give you something to think about when your organizing systems may not be working or your communication with your family members may be a little rough or not where you want them to be. Think about labels and think about if that could help, because it could just change a whole bunch of stuff that you didn't even know that it could. All right. Okay. It's so good to see everyone here tonight. I see Melissa, Mary Fran, Audrey. Hello. Good evening. I think everybody that's here is evening, right? Because everybody that's across the pond is sleeping right now, I think. So if you're watching the replay and you're across the pond, hello, and let me know. If you have blocks like I did with, or like I do and I'm recovering from with the procrastination and the perfectionism, if you have blocks that you don't know that, what they are in terms of why you can't get going organizing, why you can't figure out where to begin, why you've done things over and over and over again and you just can't figure out where to start or why it isn't working, DM me and we will talk about it. I have a free clutter breakthrough call that I have for you to take advantage of. So send me a DM. I'll send you a link. We'll get it on the calendar and we will break through your block to get you moving through your clutter. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining me this evening. I hope that you have a lovely, wonderful rest of your day wherever you are. And I will be back here same time, same day next week for Wine Wednesday. All right. I will see you later. Bye for now. And cheers.